What I've done here is selected these points on the top and bottom jaw. And if we look at the front, we can see that the shape of our dinosaur head is not quite right. It's far too wide for a dinosaur head. So with these selected, I'm going to use select and transform. Let's go to a front view here. My widget here is off in terms of its axis, so I'm just going to say reset axis. I'm going to hold shift, slide this over to roughly the center point there, and use this little icon here to just stretch these ones in. So if we go back to our reference here and look, we've got this rather thick area here where we have this plane change. This is, think of it more like a beak of a bird rather than this wide area that we had previously. So that's why I'm just bringing this in, and we can sort of manipulate these points if we like a little bit more, squeeze them in a little bit more just to get a different shape on there. We're just trying to block in those base shapes now. So with that being done, what I can do now is bring back my reference, and we can see we're very close now to getting those main forms. So we have this between the upper and lower jaw, we have this skin in between here. So I'm just going to select these pieces here, and I will just delete those. Let's zoom in and just try to match these edges a little bit closer with the move tool with points selected. So I'm going to just move these ones up and just try to match this area here, and the same on the upper part. So that gives us this shape here. So with that done, let's turn off our reference on there, and we can see here that this probably does need to come over a little bit more, just flattening that side out. And we will move all this around, but for now what I will do is select with edges. I will choose select edges. I'll choose this edge, and just double click in between to select everything in between those edges. And with that done, I'm going to use my select transform on here, and I'm just going to commit an extrusion and just push this inwards just to give that a little bit of thickness on there. Now you'll notice that on the front it's just slid these across, so we need to pull those ones in, but for now that's looking okay on the top and the bottom. To just correct that, the front, I'll hold down shift, move my gizmo to this far side over here, and then use this little scaling tool here just to pull this in a little bit more there. Zoom in a little bit more because these aren't quite right. Back to my points, and let's just move these over here. So there we go. We've got a little bit of thickness now on that mouth area. Bring back my reference here, and this piece of skin that's connecting the top and bottom jaw here, I need to just connect that back up. So I'm just going to roughly decide where that's going to go, probably between these two here. So let's hide the reference. I'm going to select this edge here. Let's make sure select is on. Select this edge and this edge, and I'm going to right click and I will bridge between those two. So let's repeat that process now. So now I'll take this edge and this one, and I'll just continue now to select them in order. And once they are all selected, then I'll right click and I will hit the bridge again, and it will do them all in one go there and weld all those vertices together. Once I've done that, I can just hit OK, and now I've got that in position, ready to move forwards. So next, let's take a look at the eye. So we'll bring our reference back in, and essentially we have this vertice here, and if I move that vertice, that's roughly where our eye is going to be located. That's this vertice here. The dinosaur is going to have forward-facing eyes, not to the side of the head, but they're going to be looking directly forwards as it's a predator. These at the moment need to be adjusted because they're very much on the outside and adjust that topology so it's looking forwards as a starting point. I'm just going to select this here, and I'll use the select and transform, and I'm going to move this inwards. and I'll need to move the one next to it as well. So I'll just use the move tool on this one and just push that one in freehand. And I'm going to move all this geometry over here. I can use the move, or I can use slide edges on here as well, just to slide that along the edge, which is probably a much better way of doing it. And we can slide this one down, this one as well. So now this vertex here is going to be pointing just generally in the right direction. And of course, I need to add a little bit more detail in here to form the eye socket and that shape, that eyeball position a little bit clearer. So what I'll do now is I will use my select tool with polygons selected and select these 4 polygons here. I'm going to hit the space bar and I'm going to choose inset with the small widget in the center of the selected polygons, or using the inset size here, I can now move these ones inwards and inset those 4 polygons to give me an outer ring of extra geometry. So with that done, I'm going to say OK. And then of course I need to shape these a little bit more. So I'm going to jump over to points. Let's zoom in a little bit closer and make a little bit more of a rounded shape here. So spacebar, move, and we'll just shape these. And as we move around, we can see we're not in the right position here, so we need to adjust these down. So again, our dinosaur is looking directly forwards, and if we want to, we could just use our polygons tool here, select these ones, use our select and transform tool here. Let's hide our reference. We can shrink these down a little bit more to reset the axis. And this will help me to just look directly in front, and then I can start to twist these around, move that into position. Now again, it's not right, but these are just polygon strokes that I'm making here in order to get the positions correct. So now I just need to do a little bit more reshaping of this base structure. Let me swap from select to move. So that just gets the landmarks in, ready to create the actual eye itself. So let's now continue to detail the eye a little bit more. I'll use my select edges and I'll select this row of edges here, and this time I will right click on here and I will say bevel. Use the widget to increase or decrease that bevel size. And then we're just going to do the same process here where we begin to manipulate the new geometry that we've created. Again, go from all sides just to make sure that we're maintaining that eye shape and it's pointing in the correct direction for the creature. So what I've done here is repeated the same process by selecting an edge ring and then beveling to create an extra layer of geometry for this eye shape. And what I'll do now is take this extra piece here with my select edges selected there, and I'm going to select these edges here, and then I'm going to come down here and say split edge. Then I'll change over to the move tool with my points selected, and I will open this eye. So it's split an extra one there, so I don't want this one open here, so I'll just re-weld that by dropping it over. And the same with this one as well. You can see it's split an extra point there, so I've just dropped it back over the original point and then it's welded. So now I can start to shape the actual eyelids of the dinosaur. So what I've done here is just shaped these a little bit more, and then I've selected those splits that I've made previously, and I'll go to select and transform, commit extrude, and I'll just pull these ones in now, which gives me essentially a thickness of the actual eyelids. Probably pull those in. Let's look at it from the front to make sure that the dinosaur is able to see directly in front of it, which it can. And then we are almost there. So with the eye blocked out, I'll just close this open edge here by creating some extra geometry inside. I'd like to join these 2 points here. And this will be the corner of the eye here. And then I'm going to select these edges around. And I'll just do the same thing where I commit an extrusion, pull these inwards and push them back into the socket a little bit further that way. Let's deselect those. And I'm not too concerned about what's going to go on inside here because I'll just put an eyeball in here. So I will just close this now and just use the add and split tool here and just close this geometry off. And now I can go over to quads, direct, and snap that one there as well, just to get rid of that engon. And then I will just connect these edges. And that should give me more than enough geometry here to just make any final adjustments later on down the line with this shape here. Just trying to get those creases and little folds that are evident on the reference. Just use a bigger brush on here and just pull this geometry around a little bit more. Let's just have one quick look at our reference. Snap that back. I'm going to select these inner polys here. Then I'll go down here to expand, just expand these out, select those ones as well, use my transform tool and maybe just move these up a little bit higher to where the eye shape is. Let's reduce my opacity on there. So yeah, we're quite close there. Hide our reference and let's just check that our dinosaur can see directly in front and move any of those obstacles out of the way so it's got clear vision. Okay, so again that eye is blocked out now and we can work on that further if we want to. We do need to just reduce the sharpness of this area here, and I will just use the slide edges, just move this back out here. In the next video, we'll create the inner mouth and begin to work on the hands and feet. See you next time.